So this is the pre-production presentation to show off what we've been doing in the past week. Okay, this is the end of pre-production going into the production phase. So, management, this is what Mitch and I have done.
So we've done team capacity, which is hours per day over a time period, and we've used that to calculate how much work we can get done during production.
Then there's the WBS, as you can see down the side. This was fun, as you can see. That is just going to showcase all of everyone's different tasks. And then I started on the Gantt chart. We got the design team done. Unfortunately, that's all we got done because it's a lot of work. But yes.
And then the MSQI chart for every task shows who's the master of it, who is testing it, and who's supporting and who should be informed on the task. And the risk assessment, everyone should have contributed a risk and a contingency, and we'll use that as a sort of reference if things go wrong.
So hi there guys, for those that only know me in passing, I'm Tom, I'm your pixel artist for UI and items. Art is very much a process, and we've gone from easily over 150 different sprites down to the 39 that you can see in the bottom right corner there. There's been a lot of work with obviously all the different changes in the game's vision. I've had to do a lot of varieties on the same sort of concepts, cut them down, and then provide you with what you've seen there. As you can see on the screen, we've got a couple of different mock-ups of different things that are featured in the game. Got the mobile overlay here, that's gone from being a very spread out, tight screen, horizontal, to what you see there. We've got a title screen there, which I'm not entirely satisfied with personally, but I feel it satisfies the UI wireframe that I was provided with, and obviously that can be polished up during production. We've got the shop mock-up in the top right, which is, functional, for lack of a better term. I quite like that one. It's simple, but it conveys all the information that you need from the shop. And then, well, not much else to say really. It's been a pleasure working with Chris on the items, and that's all there is to it.
Right, so again, for those who don't know me, I'm Heidi. I'm working on the environment tile set. While Tom was working on the smaller objects that could easily fit in 8x8, I had to work on a much bigger scale because I had to sort of incorporate all these things into a much bigger picture so the player won't get bored at looking at the same small things over and over again. I've done a mock-up of what the houses should look like and what the general background of the village would look like. So you've got the cobble paths here with some short grass in between the two houses, one made of stone, one made of wood. Next to that, I've got a tile set that is slightly out of date, unfortunately, due to complications with the engine. We are unable to rotate pieces, so we can't cut corners and just have one piece and just rotate it around. So I've had to incorporate the same piece rotated around other angles. At the top here is a lion statue that I did. That's part of one of the puzzles that's going to be in the game. That is by far my favourite thing that I've made so far. And I think that's about it.
Hi guys, I'm Matt, the animator, and here we have the prototype of the spreadsheet. We have all the characters and monsters that feature in the prototype here, and a lot of the focus went on optimization. So for the Slime King here, we only have 5 tiles used up instead of 32 by 32, and the entire sprite sheet came out as 64 by 64. It's actually quite optimized, it's at 900 bytes.
Hi guys, I'm Jack, I'm the sound effects guy. So over the weekend I did 75 sound effects, 25, but three variations each. But for the demo, we have provided 10 sound effects and sounds to kindly play a chiptune. Instead, so to get that retro vibe. The doors one's quite good. There's like Pokemon vibes as well. Transition through doors. So there's 10 in total for the demo, but there will be more sort of audio for the proper.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm working on the soundtrack. At the moment, we have 3 samples of music that is in the demo that we'll be presenting. Then I'm just going to have a clip. Let's try. Nice. All the music that I've made is loopable, so you should save in file size. That's the battle scene, so that's probably what Brett's going to be hearing a lot. I lost my slides there. That's a lot more basic. The town music that we play next is one of the first ones I worked on. So it sounds a bit better because I haven't learned the implementation techniques yet, so it will have different samples in the end product to save you on a lot of our space. That's it. Thank you.
I'm Kyle, I'm the world builder for the game. So what we've set up is a finalised game name, Tales of Orelia. You have the choice of 2 protagonists, Gargan or Aurora. One is a human, which is Gargan, and Aurora is an elf. We've got the map of the world itself to give an idea and how we start the process in all the map designs. This is the prototype will feature the Plains region of Alaska. Continuing on with the NPCs listed, so we've got the first interactable NPC, Old Man Howard, who's a farmer from the burnt village. We've got Grundy, a blacksmith, Braden, who is like a companion that tells you of certain quests along the way. We've got Lord Antoine, which will be one of the 4 lords in each region that give you quests also. And you've got the Bandit Chief of that region, Jorah Razor Tooth as well. And also we've got an image here of the upcoming cinematic, which will take place after the presentation. So that's that.
Finally, puzzles and quests. Each of the 4 main regions will have 3 to 4 main quests, 2 side quests. These can range between taking out all the enemies in strongholds and dungeons, or go deliver money to a blacksmith because someone's forgot to pay him, stuff like that. And also the dungeons and the strongholds will both have puzzles. This is some examples of one. So the one on the left here is you've got to make sure you light up every single tile before the door opens. So that'll show you how to complete that one. And this over here, this will be pushing the boulders onto the pressure plates to be able to get the next door open.
I'm Mitchell, and I'm in charge of combat and enemies. For the prototype in the plains area, we decided to go with Jaya, Vim, and the Slime. Just mainly because these are quite simple enemies, and we'll ramp up as we get used to the different systems that we're making. The first mini boss will be the Slime King. It'll be the first boss of the game, and his sort of strategy is that he gets bigger as the slimes combine with him and gets a bit more challenging. The Bandit Chief will be the first of the chiefs, and he will attack with axes, and his attack animation is like a little tornado. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Chris. I'm in charge of the items and abilities. We wanted the player to have unique abilities based on the items that they collect. So, for example, we have the Blazing Boots. The Blazing Boots will offer you a dash, which can be used to dodge attacks, as well as get to further places within puzzles. Another example is a shield, which gives you the block ability, so you can block incoming damage. There's also a type of item which offers you access to different areas in the map. So there's a water skin, which will give you access to a certain area within the desert biome, and a fur coat, which will allow you to go to a certain place within the snow biome. That's just an example. We have some potions and upgrades which are available from vendors, such as a health potion or an upgrade that can give you extra damage to a weapon.
So, level design, I work with Ed and Alex, who aren't here at the moment. But as you can see, we have taken Ed's wireframe up in the top left there and transformed it into the actual level, as we can see here, which is consisting of the city, starting town up here, secondary town, stronghold, and then the dungeon down here. A quick little insight into the dungeon as well. This is the layout of said dungeon that Ed wireframed once again, and then produced the actual dungeon layout with the puzzles and stuff inserted out here. Yes.
Right, so I'm Graham. This is Game Programming. I've only been here a week, as you probably know. So it was a bit awkward trying to catch up with everything that's gone on, or lack thereof, really. Right, so what I've been tasked with making sure that the puzzles have been programmed in, and what I've been able to do, I've been talking with Ollie, who's been doing the puzzles to make sure I get them right as to how to design them. And the first one that you can see at the top there, it's just in my test scene, so there's no other background, it's just the basics of what it is. You've got the two boulders, and when you the white thing is represented a gate, and the two circles are the boulders. When you go in behind them, they get pushed forward, and the gate disappears, so it can be used as a unlock, effectively, in one of the more simpler puzzles. And the next two right there, you can see I've added a tile map which allows you to put in tiles which damage you when you stand on them. You can use any sprite that you want whenever you're doing that, just as long as it's on the correct tile map. It will add in the hitboxes, and it will damage you whenever you stand up, no matter what sprite you use. And you can see it both from the scene view and the gameplay view from my little testing that I've made.
Right, so my name is Gabriel. I've been working on the economy system and the quest system. And on the economy system, in order to decide upon, like, if you buy an item or you sell an item, I created a panel. You can see it down below. It's sell or buy panel, in which allow you to either sell or buy according to the amount of money that you have. And I also stick to the wireframe that I was implementing into the actual wireframe game design. Also, I got a bit of code up there which explains briefly how it's actually happening. It just checks for if the item is in inventory, and if the sell option was selected, then check if the quantity is bigger than 0 or than 1, and if it is, and if you have the money, or if you sell it, just add the money. If you buy it, check if it's if you have the money, and if you have the money, just buy it. And on the quest system, I'm afraid it's not completely functional because of the uniqueness of the actual quest. It does half of it presents like the dialogue system, and you can actually know what's going on. And I've implemented lots of variables that will keep track on it, but I'm afraid it's not modular. It only works like for specific quests, and I'll still have to work on that. And that's pretty much me.
Hi, I'm Andreas. I'm the assets coder, which means my job is to put in all the lovely artwork and music provided by our artists. It also includes coding all the UI elements we have in the game, as well as graphics programming, which you can see in the shader I made for our game right there. Just a simple preview and how a preset for said shader would look like. We can edit the effects that are possible to create with this one shader, and you can just drop those preset in a drop-down menu in the UI and toggle it off and on and switch between the different presets very conveniently.
Thanks, I'm Jonathan. I'm the tools programmer. The majority of my work you won't actually see in the game purely because I do edit the stuff, so it's mostly like for the people, designers and stuff like that, to make their jobs easier. But the one thing you do see is the colour change shader. It's been absolutely nightmare to get this thing working properly, but it does work. So you can select any colours on the sprite, usually it's grayscale from the artist, and they can change it to any colour they like. Obviously we need changes in the future to actually work with 3 panels, because currently there's one problem where you can't make 3 panels with the colours saved as a start. But other than that, I've done things like dialogue editors where you can actually edit the dialogue files, write them in as you would do as a script, and then just save it and increase it for you, stuff like that.
Well, hi, I'm Tom. I implemented the AI. The focus was to make a generic action system for the AI that the designers can create via scriptable object new actions and assign these to the enemies. And the enemy is then just a collection of different actions. On the website you can see the base class for this, the action. It just use a delegate to create to use the different functions for the actions, and there's actually another slide if you and this is just an implementation from a simple move action which every other AI can implement and combine it with other actions in sequences or in compound actions, and implementation of actions will look like this.
Okay, and finally, I was focusing on the platform development and optimization. So once everyone's done all their work, they've made all the assets, they've dropped it in, I'm the one who then comes in and finds a way to get your game out onto each of the 3 platforms that you wanted it on. So the first thing I've been doing is developing a generic input script which goes through, it detects what platform the game is currently built to, whether that's WebGL, whether it's for a desktop, or if it's for Android. And based off that, it then either enables the mobile skin if it's on phone, and I have a built version just shown in the middle there, and you can also see it working on mobile already with buttons to shoot. And if it's on WebGL or desktop, that skin then pops away, the camera goes back to full screen, and it just works like that without necessarily bothering anything else. The other thing as well, which I focused a lot on, which isn't quite demonstrated up here because it's quite hard to show visually, is I've also been working on a way to synthesize sound within the program at runtime, so that some of the more basic sound effects we can just generate on the fly. And we could load up the scene which has the example on there, but I've also got it loaded up on here. And just by entering which notes they want on a scale, sort of starting from 1 going up in semitones, whoever sets it up can then program whichever note they want, and we get a whole range of sounds which we can then use to generate into a tune. And hopefully from all this we'll be able to just get it out everywhere. I've also included a link to a WebGL build just so you can see how it will look on the web page. I don't know if you want to